Hello and welcome to another development diary for Imperator Rome. Sorry this one is a little bit later than usual. I've just got finished recording some Satisfactory with Arumbastijo and Zippy, yeah, doing this now. So, to start off with, let's talk about clan leaders, retinues, and all that good stuff. Also Gaul in this one. So, we're going to be talking about third form of government after republics and monarchies. Even though this is the last of the three types, it's far from the least common. Tribal chiefdoms, kingdoms, and federations make up the grand majority of the countries in Imperator, and tribal countries exist in all locations from Western Europe to Arabia, and the Caucasus to the interior of India, all the way to the Burmese border. We'll also show you the region of Gaul as well. Lovely. So, the base premise for tribal governments is that authority is shared. When a ruler dies, a new ruler will be elected from among a number of clan leaders, all whom command their own retinues of loyal troops. Chaining any laws in a tribe requires that you chant clan leaders are loyal, and doing so will reduce the loyalty of all clan leaders but the king. Clan retinues are recruited and reinforced by the clan leaders themselves without using the manpower pool of the country, and are also cheaper to upkeep. Since retinue troops are always loyal to their clan leader, these armies also make it harder to rely on the loyalty of your clan leaders the bigger they are. Their presence also means that there are always armies ready to provoke a civil war should you not be able to maintain the loyalty of your clan leaders. Every tribal country will have at least 3 clan leaders, with more added for each country rank the country attains. So there are 4 country ranks, therefore it's looking like if you have the 3 plus 3 more for the country ranks, because I mean you're already taking up 1 country rank, you can't be no rank at all. So it's looking like 6 clan leaders is going to be the max. He's got 4 here, although 1 is himself, so add another 3 on the end here. Looks like that would probably be exactly right to fit the UI here. So yeah, it's looking like your king and 6 is the max you're going to be able to get. It depends on your country size. Yeah, seems fine. So over here we can see the clan's own retinue, and you can see it as well in the Saxonia campaign that Paradox did on their website, not website, on YouTube. They did a stream playing as Saxonia, and they failed horribly multiple times, but yeah, you could see the clan situation in effect. So, centralization. First thing that will come to mind when looking at a government type that affects this many countries in as many regions is always going to be how similar they are to each other. Clearly, a tribal kingdom can mean one thing in southern Hispania and something very different in Scandinavia, or even on the faraway border between Burma and India. Indeed, just how tribal a country is and in what way can vary wildly. Often, it might have even do so within the same region. It's also not necessarily static over time. Many things will pull a state towards being more or less settled, and more or less centralized towards the authority of its capital settlement. For this reason, all tribes make use of a centralization scale that goes from -100 to +100. I assume that's going to take the place of legitimacy, maybe? Possibly, I'm not sure. Doesn't look like it's appearing on the top bar. I don't know where that would appear. Centralization can change from your actions, such as laws you enact, or reactions to what clan leaders do. There's, however, no direct way to change the centralization value using power or money, for instance. It's only adjusted as a result of your actions and over time. So here we have, oh, there's the centralization level. Right there, next to the little dude. Fair enough. So, 50%, country civilization plus 10%, size of clan retinue -25%, and freeman promotion cost -12.5%. Interesting. Okay, fair enough. At negative centralization, your tribe is less centralized. No, you do not say. We'll have more influential clan chiefs, bigger retinues, higher tribesman output, and will make it possible to morph into a tribal chiefdom, able to perform tribal migrations. We'll talk more about migration, how it works in a later dev diary. I'm going to talk a little bit about it here. Basically, you can get say you are a tribe with 4 provinces, or sorry, 4 cities. You can get, say each city has 10 pops. You can set, you can click on your city and click the I assume is going to be the migrate button, and you will end up with an army that has 10 light infantry in it. You move those 10 light infantry down to a new province, then click settle, and boom, that province is now yours. I don't know whether you can split that 10 units into, 2 5 units, so you can take 2 provinces. I don't know if that's possible, but it might be, who knows. And I also think it costs some kind of power, though I'm not sure which one. Positive centralization gives a discount to converting tribesmen to freemen, decreases the size of clan retinues, and more importantly, increases the country's civilization value, the cap that all cities under your control will gravitate towards. A higher civilization value in your capital, together with the appropriate laws, will make it eventually possible to reform out of being a tribe, morphing into a republic or a monarchy. As mentioned here, apart from its impact on research, higher civilization value in your cities will make more tribesmen unhappy to live in them, while citizens and freemen will feel more and more at home, meaning that the tribesmen will start being less productive and be more prone to generate unrest. At the start of the game, the centralization levels of tribal countries all around the map will differ, and they start well into the negatives for the Germanic tribes regions, while others like Turdetania in Hispania starts with a significant positive centralization. So it is going to be quite different, choosing, different tribes based mostly on this civilization level. And obviously, you've got your map color as well, which is going to make it different. You always want to grow the nicest map color. Anyway, in other words, as a tribe, you can attempt to move your country towards being a republic and a monarchy, and making use of the more stratified pop types such as freemen or citizens, while alienating your tribesmen who will produce less and less, and potentially even generate unrest. You can also decrease centralization, share power with other clan leaders, and build a country where tribesmen pops are happier and more productive, while freemen and citizens will contribute less and likely generate unrest. Make matters a bit more complicated, most regions, even at start, will have a mix of pop types. There are a few regions where you would only have tribesmen at the start of the game, even as a tribe. Sorry, there are a few reasons, not a few. As the pop type unaffected by civilization level, slaves from warfare can always help augment your economy, though other things, not least their foreign culture and culture group, might still make them somewhat unruly in some circumstances. Now we move on to Gaul, which has, again, more provinces than the France region has provinces. Though, again, I didn't really count them, but yes, significantly more. And it's set into 5 different regions: Armorica, Belgica, Celtica, Aquitania, and Transalpine Gaul. In between 3 of the regions we've covered in earlier Dev Diaries, Britannia, Hispania, and Italy, lies the region of Gaul. In that date, the Gallic people are present in many theatres far beyond Gaul itself. There are Gallic tribes in modern Germany, the Balkans, and Gallic mercenaries served on many sides in the successor wars from Egypt and Syria to Thrace. Not long after our start dates, such Gallic tribes will also descend into Greece and Anatolia on their own half, creating a new region of Galatia in the process, but more about that later. Gaul is divided into a number of regions and tribes. Data on this place is perhaps not as greatly detailed as what we know for the Greek and Roman world. We've seen that before already. But Gaul, as hinted at earlier, neither was Gaul isolated from the wider Mediterranean world. The vast majority of countries are tribal kingdoms at start. Some are part of larger tribal identities that, like previously described in Spain, can form bigger tribal federations. On the centralization scale, these Gallic kingdoms are all on the positive side. So we've got Transalpine Gaul, eventually Gallia Narbonensis under the Romans, close to Italy in the Mediterranean, and it will be the first part of the greater Gallic region on this side of the Alps to be integrated into the Roman Republic, where Gallo-Roman culture really began to grow. We've got Massalia, Seluvia, Deciatia, Oxybia, Vocontia, Albicia, Tectosagia, Sorbonia, Arecomicia, Rutenia, Arvernia, Helvia, Alabrogia, Segusaialva, words. God damn it, I got so close. So the ones that I recognize, Alabrogia, I recognize that name. would oppose the Romans together with the Silurians and the Arverni. Part of the tribes also helped Hannibal cross the Alps. That's why I've heard of them. Fair enough. Aquitaine has a lot of gold and silver, rich and prosperous. At the start, it's also like the rest of Gaul, divided into a bunch of city-states of equal strength. They all look pretty equal-sized, so it's going to be an interesting place to start. We've got Santonia, Pictonia, Lemovitia, Andecamulensia, Petrocoria, Nitiobrogia, and then we've got the Aquitanian tribes of Tarbelia, Sibuzatia, Bigarionia, Terosatia, Bocatia, Cocosatia, Viviscia, Oschia, and Consuriania. Lovely, nailed it. Now we have Celtica with a bunch of more countries. Parissia. I wonder if Parissia is exactly where Paris would be, so I guess that's where it got its name from. By the Seine, centered around the region where Lutetia would later be founded, precursor of the modern city of Paris. Nice. They're also subjects of Sinonia. Now we've got Sinonia, Mandubia, Tricasia, Lingonia, Sequania, Aedioia, and Biturgia. Now I've got Armorica, which I guess is where Armor got its name from. And over here we have a bunch of tribes as well that'll be able to form, I guess, Armorica. We saw that in the Dev Clash, someone formed Armorica. So we've got Redonia, Venelia, Ossismia, Venezia. Venezia, really? Interesting. Curiosolita, Diablenitia, Lexovia, and Euborivia. And then we've also got Namnetia, Aulercia, Carnutia, Esuvia. Lovely, nailed it. Belgica. So the Belgicae, the Belgae, the whatever they call them. A lot of very hardy people here as well, just like in northern Spain. So they are described as being incredibly strong. Like, they're the bravest and most dangerous of the Gauls. It's also close to the Germanic tribal states, most likely influencing both customs and trade, as well as resulting in occasional warfare and raiding. So yeah, they're hardy people. So over here we have Bavaria, Remia, and then we've got the Belgic tribes. I guess these guys are going to be able to form a nation called Belgae, more than likely. We've got Menapia, Iburonia, Morinia, Viromanduia, Nervia, Aduatutia, Cugarinia, Suessonia, Belavatia, Ambiania, and Caletia. And that's it. Lovely. So, interesting stuff. I guess obviously the main thing to take away from this one is the way that tribes work. But, you know, if you're interested in playing in Gaul, that's also there for you. So, moving on. Now we're looking at characters' ambitions. So, a lot of people are having a good laugh at this because of their children have, when the Dev Clash started, a lot of children had a weighted modifier to have the become demagogue ambition, and you can see that here with this 15-year-old girl wanting to become a demagogue. She tells everyone she meets she has desires to overthrow the government and install a totalitarian regime. And it was like, you know, 9 out of 10 children would have that desire, which is kind of funny. But yes, in order to run a country in Imperative Rome, you have to entrust various tasks to characters. Your characters are your monarchs, your ministers, and governors. They're the ones who will lead your armies and navies. Characters are, however, not just tools you can make use of. They also have intentions of their own, ambitions that they will try and fulfill, and the success of which will help decide how they develop. So the most basic of ambitions are ones that all characters will adopt after their birth, that to grow up. The one is hard for them to fail, but are you sure about that? Hard to fail in, 303 BC? Are you sure about that? Say a lot of people would actually fail on that one. As they will grow, shift into what kind of person they want to grow up to be. Some might want to be a great warrior, others have other desires. These ambitions will shape their development, but unlike the ambitions for adults, there's not a lot you can do about them. Nonetheless, they give you some idea of where children are going. Other categories of ambitions come with adulthood. This is when some will start to aspire to certain positions. Some characters might expect a specific one of your governorships, others might aspire to be a specific type of minister. Failing to fulfill some ambitions will slowly make their loyalty and faith in the state deteriorate, while others will have less heartfelt effects. Another one is if you are imprisoned in war, you will have the ambition to become free. In the Dev Clash, the leader of Carthage was imprisoned by Rome, and he didn't have that. He was content in life. So I actually brought that up in the Dev Clash's forum thread and was told that it was a bug and he should have had the ambition to become free. What ambitions a certain character will adopt is dependent on traits. Hungry General might get an ambition to conquer a specific area, I guess like Crassus. He had the ambition to expand the Roman Empire into Persia, and that all ended at Carrhae. Someone with a friend in prison might have an ambition to set them free. Interesting, I didn't know that one. And prisoners themselves will get ambitions to get out of prison. Others yet may have ambitions to see their rivals suffer. That's evil. I like it. As soon as an ambition is completed, the character will receive a reward, often in the form of loyalty and prominence, and after that, there is a chance they will become content in life, which means that the character is now, for now, happy with how things are, and will not aspire to change anything about their situation. Contentedness will automatically disappear from a character if they lose their current employment or are imprisoned. Some of the ambitions that you can and may want to act upon some of the ambitions are things you might want to act upon, while other are the things that drive the character forward without much interaction from you as a player. For instance, when it comes to dealing with rivals characters, players may well take matters into their own hands. Lovely. Sorry, characters may well take matters into their own hands. Now, Persian military traditions. So, Persian military traditions will be used by any country in the Persian, Bactrian, Scythian, or Aramaic culture groups, but is not used by any of the major powers at start. So, the Seleucids, despite occupying a lot of Persian land, the rulers are actually Greek, so they don't get access to these Persian traditions, though I imagine if there is some kind of revolt, perhaps because they're Greeks ruling a Persian culture area, then the resultant, spat out countries will probably have access to these Persian traditions. So we have the starting tradition being Scythian horse archers, not horch, giving horse archer cost. Then we've got the Persian path, the Parthian path. Oh my god, what's wrong with my words today? Horse archers get some more offensiveness. Morale allows cavalry skirmish, heavy cav cost, land attrition, light infantry defense. Lots of cav and light infantry stuff. Also, land attrition is nice. Resurgent Achaemenid path. So this region, like the Seleucids own, was once part of the Achaemenid Empire, so this might be one of those spat out countries if the Seleucids can't keep control. So we've got national manpower modifier, heavy infantry, ship morale, allow you to raise levies. Now that's something interesting. What is a levy? Because it can't just be a troop, because you can raise them anyway. Interesting, gonna have to look into that one. You got land, morale, recovery, archers, heavy infantry cost, siege ability, a bit of everything really. Just not much on the cavalry front. So lots of infantry stuff. And then we've got the Bactrian path. I guess Bactria is not a major power, but Bactria is this is Armenia. But Bactria is a very populous area, but apparently they're not a major. Light cav, discipline, fort defense, heavy infantry offense, military colonies, war elephants, horse archers, attrition, and merc maintenance cost. So a bit of everything there as well. Now we have Armenia, which is really quite a large nation, in fairness. Like, really quite big. Just, you wonder what would happen if they never suffered under the Ottomans as they did. There'd be quite a lot of them. Anyway, in previous diaries we described Anatolia, Mesopotamia, and Persia, all regions that have direct focus on the successor wars. Armenia, however, has mostly been left to its own devices. The Orontid dynasty that rules this kingdom in 304 BC is the same line of kings that was in power as satraps under the Achaemenids and later under Alexander. Armenia itself is a region of high mountains and fertile valleys, the latter also made for good pasture land, and a part of the reason that such a mountainous country could still be known for its cavalry. Its location at the crossroads between east and west also means this would come to be a region of great strategic importance when it was later the frontier between the Roman and Parthian empires. Yeah, a lot of the time in the later period of Rome is Armenia would basically be the buffer between the two powers, and which one was more influential was of, great importance, right? So if the Romans got more influence over Armenia, the Persians would be very worried about it, and then they'd try and be more influential over it, etc., etc. But they very rarely went to war with them unless they were like, helping the other side. A buffer state. It's good stuff. So, starting country is only Armenia. In 304, the Kingdom of Armenia is in a good position to choose its own destiny. The Greek empires to the east and south have no time to pay attention to what goes on beyond passes to the Mountain Kingdom, nor would they be able to project power there without opening themselves up to defeat. Armenian Kingdom also has ample opportunity for expansion. In the court of the Orontids, the former satrap of Cappadocia is growing restless, eager to retake the kingdom he believes to be his by right. To the south lies Atropatene, another former Achaemenid possession, now without a protector. Caucasian kingdoms to the north are likewise open to expansion. Should the conflict of the successor kingdoms come to be resolved, however, the opportunities for expansion will rapidly close, as it's unlikely that any winner would be able to resist the temptation to take back control over the Armenian highlands. This is a nation that I actually really want to play as. It's going to be one of the first that I play as. There's a lot of mountain passes, and the terrain here is like lots of little paths through, instead of, wide open spaces. It's going to be very, very interesting. And yeah, taking on the guys to the south and then going up to the Caucasus and then eventually fighting against, Phrygia and the Seleucids, I think it's going to be a hell of a fun ride. I really want to play as Armenia. So, the northern Black Sea region. So we've got, Scythia, we've got the Bosporan Kingdom, lots of good stuff here. And Crimea is actually called the Taurica Peninsula, and that's something I learned today. The Scythian Kingdom has long been a primary force in the region where the Pontic Steppe meets the Black Sea. A number of Greek trading colonies have sprung up over the centuries, bringing wealth to Scythia in exchange for exports such as wheat and slaves. Crimea, the Bosporan Kingdom, has adopted a distinctly Hellenistic identity with Greek-speaking but culturally mixed population, a state heavily oriented towards the export of grain to Athens. Here we go. Lots of nice countries here. So we've got Scythia, Olbia, Tiras, Bosporan Kingdom, Chersonesus, Meotia, Sarmatia, Zygia, and Heniochia. So, also a very interesting region, though I think the first time I play in this region is going to be as Armenia as I murder it. Probably. Now I've got Caucasia, which we have the countries of Colchis, which anyone into Warhammer 40k will know is the homeworld of the Wordbearers. So I guess that's where they got that name from. Phasis, Iberia, which is not in... No, it's not Spain, it's Iberia. Albania, which is also not where Albania is. We've got Legia, Siratia, and Syndica. And that is that for that dev diary. I think we got time for one more. Why not? Let's go and do one more. So we're looking at civil wars and rebellions. Lots and lots of stuff about subject states, and we finally get to learn what the difference between a tributary, a feudatory, client states, what all those are. So interesting stuff. So civil wars break out if 33% of the armed forces of your country is in the hands of disloyal generals, or if 33% of your population resides in disloyal provinces. A civil war breaks your country in two parts, locked in a war until one capitulates. And just to expand upon this, if you've ever used the Synthetic Dawn command in EU4, it works like that with regards to occupations. As soon as someone in the revolt has sieged a province, that province is immediately part of their country. It's not occupied, it's just owned. And I believe it's the same on the other way around as well. If Moria was to siege a part of the Mauryan revolt in this image, then they would immediately own that province again. So you could see some very strange looking maps. Like, this map looks fucking disgusting because that revolt is just taking the land rather than occupying it. Rebellions break out if 20% of your population resides in disloyal foreign culture provinces. A rebellion will break out rebel countries for their various disloyal foreign peoples in your country in a rebellion war where they aim to achieve independence. So we don't have rebels, basically. If you have a rebellion fire, you get, instead of rebels, you get countries that are at war with you. So I like this system a lot more than the one in EU4 right now. Like, a lot more. Like, on the scale of which one I like more, this one. There we go. Nice. Anyway, moving on, we've got subject states. So yeah, this is where we learn what the difference between all the different states are. Subjects are countries that do not have the ability to perform their own diplomacy. Instead, they have entered into an agreement with a more powerful country for their protection, their overlord. What this means will differ depending on the type of subject, but there are also some rules to all subjects obey. Other than for trade, a subject can never enter into diplomatic agreements with other countries. When a country becomes a subject, all their agreements with other countries are broken. The overlord and subject will always have military access, and subjects will have military access to the territory of other subjects of the same overlord, and a subject can always leave a subject relationship by declaring war on their overlord. In addition, most subject types will pay some sort of resource to their overlord. How much and which one will depend on the subject type. Requirements. Most subject types have requirements that the overlord and the future subject need to fulfill for the relationship to be possible. These requirements are only checked on creation, but when they are no longer true, if a subject type that is required to be under a certain size should outgrow that size, for instance, the relationship will be harder to maintain. Friction will start to manifest in the form of regular events between the two. So, subject loyalty. Each subject has a loyalty value to its overlord, so yeah, same as in EU4. This will modify how much payment is actually sent to the overlord and how much loyalty they may also join rebellions and civil wars against their overlord. Subject loyalty is between 0 and 100, where 100 signifies total loyalty. Below a loyalty of 50, the subject state is considered disloyal. This reduces what is paid to the overlord by up to 50% at 0 loyalty. If a rebellion happens of this culture, the subject will join that revolt, and if a civil war happens and a state is disloyal, it joins the revolting side. So, yeah, having subjects and having, civil wars break out is going to be, you could lose a lot of territory very, very quickly. So, integration. In time, the overlord may want to directly integrate its subject. This required relations over 190, so we've seen that before, EU4, and will, after a long period, turn the entire subject country into directly owned territory by the overlord. Not all subject types can be integrated, however. Some, like the tributary, are too loosely aligned with the overlord for such a thing to even be possible. So, supporting rebels, there we go. This brings us to how you can destabilize a big empire. All major powers and above have a diplomatic action called support rebels. This lets you decrease the happiness of all pops that are not of the targeted country's culture by 20. This can potentially result in growing unrest and failing province loyalty in their country. The country that supports the rebels will be expected to support the rebels in action, as well as words should a rebellion war break out. They will be recalled in to defend the rebels. Yeah, that sentence feels like it was written badly, but maybe it's just... the country supporting rebels will, for the duration of their support, suffer a -5 diplo-rep penalty. An aggressive expansion increase by 0.0 to a month. Since aggressive expansion itself decreases foreign pop happiness and can take some time to burn off, this means supporting rebels is perhaps not a decision to be taken too lightly. The targeted country will also have a permanent CB against the subversive country as long as it continues to support their rebels. Lovely, I'm just going to take a quick drink. Sorry about that. I have an itchy throat. So, subject types. As I said, this is the important meat of this dev diary. So, first we have the tributary. They pay 25% of their income. The special rules: Overlord will protect the subject. It doesn't cost Diplo slot. It won't join wars. It can't be integrated, and the subject can break it diplomatically basically without going to war. Feudatories. They're a city-state that obligated itself to follow the leader of a larger and more influential country in the same culture group. So stuff like Roman Soci, Punic cities in North Africa under Carthage, or the city leagues in the Aegean under Antigonids in Phrygia. So they pay 35% of manpower is paid to the overlord. Subject must not have more than 10 cities. Overlord must have more than 20. Overlord and subject must be of the same culture group, so that's a big one. The subject gets 5% less citizen happiness and negative 10% army maintenance cost. And special rules, it will protect the subject. Relationship does not cost a Diplo slot. Subject will join the wars of the Overlord. Subject can't be integrated and cannot cancel the relationship diplomatically. They have to do it via warfare. But yeah, having this part here, subject must not have more than 10 cities. So I think that's actually going to be quite easy if the subject, if a feudatory can't declare war on their own, then, I mean, it doesn't, they're never going to have more than 10 cities, so. Still though, it's 10 cities. And most provinces have like 6 to 8. They just want to give them like one province and then boom, you're done. And it doesn't cost a Diplo slot, so I can see having a lot of feudatories would be quite valuable. You get manpower from them, so it would certainly be useful. Now, vassal tribes. It's a tribal kingdom, chiefdom, or federation that has close ties to a nearby, stronger civilized state. This means a significantly easier route towards civilizing? Whatever. Increase both the countrywide level of civilization and growth in all cities. The tribal state, in turn, pays with manpower to the Overlord, who will also protect them. So they pay 15% of manpower. They must be tribal. The Overlord must not be tribal. Overlord must have a higher civilization rating in their capital. Overlord must not have 10 or more tribal vassal subjects already. So you can have 10 of them, which seems, you know, insane, but again, does not cost Diplo slots. Overlord gets 3% more tribal happiness per subject of this type. So if you have 10 of them, enjoy 30% more tribal happiness. And if you're a very civilized state, and you have, you know, if you want to conquer into tribal territory, you're very civilized, tribesmen don't like it, but 30% more tribesmen happiness is going to be pretty powerful. The subject gets 10% higher country civilization cap, and the subject gets 1 monthly civilization growth. So it seems like a very temporary thing, because if you have tribe subjects, they're eventually going to civilize and not be tribes anymore. So the Overlord will protect the subject if he's attacked. Subject will not join the wars of the Overlord. Subject can't be integrated, doesn't cost a Diplo slot, and they can cancel the relationship. So client states, they are larger states. They don't have to be of the same culture group. So yeah, it's in there. This seems to be like your larger vassal types. Client states will most likely be cases of war. Client king separated from a governor, mostly by his level of autonomy. So he pays 25% of his income. He must not have 150 cities or above. So yeah, he can be much, much larger than the feudatories. Must not be tribal. Overlord must not be tribal. Subject gets negative 5% ruler popularity. Subject gets plus 10% global commerce modifier. The Overlord will protect the subject. He can only trade with the Overlord. Won't join the wars of the will join the wars of the Overlord. Can be integrated and costs a Diplo slot. Yeah, this seems like your larger vassal type. Now, satrapy is the last one. So, they're only available if the junior partner belongs to the Persian military traditions. Satrap is in some ways similar to a governor, but is expected to have greater authority, bigger obligations, and a more imposing realm. As having powerful satraps is an expectation in the East, a few of them will also help in maintaining the legitimacy for their overlord kingdoms. They're notoriously independent-minded and troublesome. Events will periodically require interacting to keep satraps happy. So they pay 50% of their income. They must have Persian military traditions. Overlord must have more than 40 cities. The subject must have more than 40. Overlord must have more than 150. They both have to be a monarchy. The Overlord will get 2% monthly legitimacy per satrapy. So if you want to be legitimate, you have a lot of them, but then if you have a lot of them, it's going to be quite painful to keep them all happy. They will protect the subject. It will join the wars of the Overlord. Can be integrated, costs a Diplo slot, and can't cancel the relationship diplomatically. So yeah, this one is very much about your subject types and civil wars, and it's nice to learn how those all work. So I want to thank you all very much for watching this episode. If you did enjoy it, feel free to click the like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.